Exactly. What's up, y'all? This is Jordan Theory with Dream Chase Life. I'm here with my man, Justice Raji, host of Ask Your Old Head podcast. What's up, Justice?
Peace.
We just came out of the first session at the Portland Book Festival with Malcolm Gladwell. He was talking about his new book, Talking to Strangers, and I thought it was dope, man. What did you think about it?
I enjoyed it. I appreciate Malcolm's ability to kind of push us to be complicated, be a little messy, and feel okay with not having all the answers answered, but like being all right asking questions, and I enjoyed that.
Right.
And also, I always like talking about people from Canada.
Yeah, right. Canadian's funny, man. I actually really liked the stories about his father and sort of the concept of coupling that he talked about. And always, man, he's just a brilliant mind, and he like takes these trends, takes these instances, and paints a bigger picture. And I thought it was pretty dope. And then also when he talked about Sandra Bland and policing, he talks about that in the book as well. And so I'm really excited to dig into this.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, we're here at the Portland Book Festival. Gonna show you a few more of the sessions, a little bit of the exhibits and what's going on here. So enjoy.
Peace.
Peace.
And so this one, in this book, I talked a lot about, I'm really interested in the crucial fact about the Sandra Bland case is that when you examine the officer in that instance, and you examine what he did, and you examine his record as an officer, what you realize is that he was not a bad apple. He was in fact an exemplary police officer. He was doing exactly what he was trained to do. So if you, as I do, believe that what happened on that side of the road was a tragedy, then you have to accept the fact that, it's a tragedy not because he deviated from law enforcement practice, but because he was consistent with law enforcement practice. So the problem here is the way in which we have structured law enforcement, right? He's not a rogue. He's the opposite. He's an incredibly dutiful cop, right? That's the problem. Right? And so once you realize that, once I realized that, I said, what I need to do is to describe how on earth do we get to a position where a cop behaving precisely as he was trained to behave is capable of turning a routine law enforcement infraction into this tragedy.
It's a turn
That's
right? It's a turn signal.
It never turns signal.
Yeah.
How on earth do we get to that situation? And when you realize that this does not happen in other countries,
yes.
right? So we're so used to this, we've so kind of got inured to this particular way of policing that we've forgotten. And it's weird. It's really weird. So you go from like other developed, sophisticated 21st century countries, the cops are about people helping people. Right? Whereas in America, you get it like, to serve and protect. Like, you thought about to serve and protect? Like, it's like the most, you might as well have, why don't you just have the Marine Corps be your, the Marine Corps serve and protect, right? That's not, any police officer will tell you that the primary goal, they are actually social workers. That's their job, right? That's 95% of their job, the way in which our society is constructed. And we somehow think of them as, have created a culture which is martial. Right. Anyway, so a lot of the book is an attempt to figure out how do we take this crazy turn in law enforcement practice where we kind of weaponized police officers and told them to go out in the world and anytime you see anything that deviates from expectation, you wave that person over.
And then you search their whole car. It's to go beyond the
there's a mantra, and I was going through these police training manuals, and the mantra of them is go beyond the ticket. Right. Meaning, it's just, this is, we got here not by accident.
Yeah.
That's the crucial thing. We got here because we deliberately chose this path. And if anything comes out of this book, I think I want it to be that realization. That this is something that we chose as a society, and we made a big mistake.
All right, y'all, here at the Portland Book Festival. Just got out of the session with Ibtihaj Muhammad, my sister, old friend from Newark, New Jersey, Olympic medalist in fencing. She has a children's book out called The Proudest Blue, and she was doing a children's book reading here at the book festival, and she's, killed it. She did her thing, talk about the importance of her faith, of her culture, in the sport, in her craft. And retaining that, and also talked about the importance of family and what family means to her and how she takes that in to her writing and to her work as a fencer. And so check out, I got a couple clips I want to show you, and we're going to keep it moving, keep it pushing to the next session. Peace.
What I think that the most important message for me is just one of resilience. I had a lot of people tell me no throughout my life, whether that was because I was, an African-American kid in the sport of fencing, or because I was a kid who worked jazz, who was in sport. And even as a professional athlete, I kind of document the really tough moments that I experienced as a member of Team USA, and I think a testimony to what it looks like when you believe in yourself. And I think that that's such a simple gift that anyone, no matter your age or where you're from, that's something that you can give yourself. You don't need other people's permission to do your own thing and believe in yourself and be a cheerleader, a champion of yourself. And I just feel very blessed that that was something that I learned early on, because I experienced a lot of bullying as a kid, to be completely honest, and I learned that I don't need to seek other people's approval in order to love and appreciate myself.
And what advice could you give to someone who may be the first or only person in a room of their background?
To be unapologetic about who you are and what you bring to the table. What I love about sport is that it's an opportunity for you to showcase your hard work and your talent, and it's not about your background in any way. It's about winning, and that's what I've always loved about sport. It's like someone can say a lot and they beat you, and that's one of the cool things. It's like I train with mostly guys, and none of them beat me, and that is, I think, something that they probably hate, but it's something. And also, I think what I love most about sport is that it's an opportunity for you to always be constantly working to get better. I feel like my biggest competitor is myself, and I have moments, and you can read in Proud, where I failed miserably. When I first started competing as just embarking on this journey of qualifying for my first national team, I think I was 270th in the world in my first World Cup. And I finished my career number 7 in the world. And this is a lot of people telling me that they you can't do it, it's not possible for you. And I had to learn how to be so myopic that I learning to ignore people's doubt is a part of my DNA now. I actually I don't need you to know that I'm great. I got this. I can do it. And not that you know for sure you can, but it's so important that you believe it, and that you let your faith, override that fear, and let your faith carry you to whatever dream you have set for you.
Please, I just came out of Daniel Jose Older's short session, talking about some of his works, particularly the Book of Lost Saints. Daniel is a Cuban writer, Cuban, I don't know if Cuban American would be the way he would phrase it, so I'm gonna just say Cuban. But the brother also has a great piece called The Shadow Shaper, which is actually a saga of several stories dealing with a young woman and the culture and spirits of the past and the present. It's dope. It's fantastic, something you should check out. But what he was talking about in this session was his new work, but also about being bilingual, about existing in more than one world, which a lot of us people of color do here in America. We're one person, and someplace else we may be somebody else, although we're still the same person. And the session was great. He just gave a little snapshot of what his work is like, what he's working on, and and also where you can catch him next in terms of catching some of his work. He also does a lot of other work. He's written a Star Wars story, some comics, a lot of other things. Very prolific. So I was happy to catch him.
I do think in terms of the genre versus literary question, we have work to do, because this is actually my 6th book for adults, right? But the number of times that people will introduce me now and be like, his debut adult work, the Book of Lost Saints, and I'm like, oh, 6th book. Not to brag, but it's just true. Like the other day I was doing a book event and someone said, he said debut, and I was like, oh, no, I was trying to be nice. No, it's not really my debut, and I have another, more adult book. He said, oh, right, Last Shot. Right, his 2nd book for adults. And I was like, well, this is so awkward. I mean, I corrected that ass, don't get me wrong. But anyway, no, but that happens, why? Because my other books for adults are all very genre books. They're urban fantasy and Star Wars books. So, people don't recognize them like as much and don't give them the same weight. And even in the terms that we use, genre versus literary, like there's an automatic value judgment in that categorization, right? Literary is better. Like that's just the way that people act. It's still true that if you go to an MFA program, you might have trouble getting a teacher that will work with you on detective stories or horror or sci-fi. Because it's not literary enough. Because people don't speak in British accents in those books. Like really, they don't drink tea. It's so messed up. Like there's so much truth that genre fiction has to tell us about the world. There's so many amazing genre fiction writers whose prose is fantastic and above and beyond, and changing actual language that are working today and have been working for years. Frankenstein is very much a genre book that is now over the course of time become literary. Mind you, like the whole genre itself was invented by a teenage girl, with that book, and that's amazing. My young adult series, The Shadow Shaper Cipher, finishes in January with the third. There's 2 novellas. There's will be the 3rd novel. It's called Shadow Shaper Legacy, and it closes out the series, and I'm really excited about it, in part because it delves into a lot of the mythology of shadow shaping itself and where it originated. It basically gets into the origin story of shadow shaping, Sierra's ancestors, all this deep stuff, and it's still very much Sierra's story in modern day Brooklyn and her fight to survive. And it's my favorite book in that series, and it comes out in January. The 3rd Dactyl Hill book comes out in June. At this point, they've flown out. It starts in New York in 1863. They've flown on Pteranodon back all the way down south through the Battle of Chickamauga, which happened in the 2nd book, and to New Orleans, where this story takes place. It's called Thunder Run, and I'm very excited about that. There's a lot of T-Rexes in it. Oh my God. It's exhausting how many Tyrannosauruses there are. It's like, what's the plural of T-Rex? It's T-Rexes? I know, but or is it T-Rex?
She first didn't get into the first one she went to.
What's up, y'all? We're about to go into our last session here at the Portland Book Festival. This session is called Dark Magic and Folklore, featuring author Nafisa Azad. So this is going to be the last session. We're really excited to check it out, and it's been a really dope, fun day here at the Portland Book Festival. If you missed it this year, make sure you make it next year, 2020. All right, peace.
I wanted to show a kind of romance that the girls in my community could read and relate to. And as you said, the Majnun, Layla and Majnun, they are the Indian equivalents of Romeo and Juliet, where Majnun was, I don't know, he went crazy with the idea of love. It just, I don't know, been saying like love makes people madness. But yeah, but my character Zulfikar is a jinn, is an Ifrit jinn. And Fatima Ghazala, she's, I can't say anymore without spoiling. She is someone. And so they do not fall in love as much as circumstances lead them to each other, and to fulfill something, redacted, they have to get married. So I love the trope of strangers getting married and then things happening. So I worked with that, and as Katie said, there's many different kinds of love in the book. Familial love and love between sisters is one of the more prominent things that compared to romantic love. Okay, so in the first draft of The Candle in the Flame, Zulfikar was a lot more chauvinistic. And my friend, I have a friend, her name is Janet. She read the book, she sat me down, she said, Nafisa, I need to talk to you. I was like, oh no. I sent her one scene, and she said, this is exactly where the scene is wrong, and you need to change it, because he reads very rapey. And I was like, what? I have not written a rapey main character. And she's like, she actually took each sentence and analyzed it. She looked at the vocabulary, the diction, and she's like, this is what it's saying. You may not intend to say it like this, but this is what it is saying. See, this is what happens when you have an English major as your friend. I appreciated it because at first I was I felt very angry and offended, and then I sat down and I slept on it and I was like, you're right. I did. So I was like, how can I subvert this whole thing about where the male in a Muslim society, the males are usually stereotyped as very aggressive. So I was like, let me just make it a matriarchal society. And then when I did that, things became even more wonderful because all of a sudden Zulfikar became a wish fulfillment.